Dave the Diver is a simple game. Fight immortal sea creatures, befriend Discord mods, find weapons from literal gods, and I did all of that in this video. Oh yeah, and you can also go diving. Forgot to mention that. We start off being introduced to our main character, Dave, just relaxing on the beach, when he immediately gets a call from an old friend, Cobra. What's not to trust about him? And he offers Dave a massive business opportunity, the chance to be part of a new sushi restaurant. We would have said no, but Dave had unfinished business with the crab population, so we got on a plane and flew off to his new life of sushi making. We arrive at his reef looking place and finally meet Cobra. He explains that we're in a place called the Blue Hole, which is not only a great business opportunity, but also the whole ass 8th wonder of the world apparently, as the underwater terrain changes daily and nobody is talking about this. Like, what? Our new home sweet home. I did some research and the Blue Hole is a blue hole, and or is based off a blue hole, which is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a blue hole that's a blue hole. But anyway, essentially the fact that this place changes on every dive means no two of our dives will be the same, so we can get a bunch of different fish and stuff. Cobra gets us to jump in the water and teaches us some revolutionary tips, like it being WASD to move around. After I finished aimlessly swimming around and missing my harpoon gun on fish, Cobra finally took us to meet the third partner in the sushi business, and the best character in the game, Bancho. We find him in our new sushi restaurant, and he drops us some sushi lines of wisdom, and explains how to access our inventory and menu before an earthquake happens and breaks the restaurant that we had for about 20 seconds. How convenient. Well, we won't be able to repair it with the 4 pixels of fish that we caught before.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
So we have to cut our meeting short and can finally go diving by ourselves for the first time. So we dive down and begin catching fish. A pyramid butterfly fish, a sea goldie, a dead clownfish, and we begin filling up our storage pretty fast. Right now we can't stay too long, go too deep or carry too much, but I'm sure this will improve as we go along. We catch a couple more fish to fill our storage, and actually find an upgrade to our base combat knife from one of these yellow chests, which are quite interesting as they give us items that we can't carry out of our dive, so we'll have to find them every time, and then we find an escape pod, which are pretty much our saving grace throughout this game, as they take you straight back up to the surface, which, you know, takes quite a bit of time as we dive deeper and deeper. But by the time we've gotten back, it's already night time. Prime time to open Bancho Sushi and finally make enough money back to repair it. Essentially, Dave the Diver is kind of an underwater roguelike by day and a restaurant simulator by night, in which I have to help Bancho serve all of these customers. My job right now is to serve food, clean tables and pour drinks. But this will get a lot more complex down the line. So that I did, and after a 5-star successful day, I just don't know how I do it. I didn't make quite enough to repair Bancho Sushi, so I just went off to sleep for the day. But not before being disrupted by yeah, I got nothing. Some boat just got dragged out to the depths by a massive tentacle. I'm sure this won't be a problem down the line. Anyway, we wake up safe and sound the next day. Must have been a dream. To be instantly called by somebody called Ellie. She's a climate change activist working thing who essentially needs our help. This was unnecessary. And she asks us to get some agar and red starfish on our next dive. Speaking of our next dive, we enter the blue hole again. Definitely more confident this time. Maybe even a little too confident. One key mechanic in this game is the oxygen. It not only acts as a health bar, but passively goes down during your dive, and if you run out, well, this happens, meaning you can only take one item back up from your dive. Luckily I didn't really lose anything this time, except for my pride. I just got sent back up to the surface by Cobra, taking my one little Titan triggerfish. Also, while watching this back, I realised how stupid I am. I literally had an item that gives me half of my oxygen back and I didn't use it. Anyway, I made it back to the surface and was immediately greeted by Cobra calling this Discord mod like an ass. This man's name is Duff, and this man calls us fat, but we can let it slide as this guy's going to be pretty useful to us down the line. Normally, we can only take our harpoon and our knife on our dives, as we find guns along the way, but if given the right resources, Duff allows us to create permanent guns, which seems slightly unethical, but it will be super useful later on. But anyway, we take our second dive for the day, as you can do one in both the morning and in the afternoon, and it was a bit more successful this time, although we still barely got away. Now, with all of my new fish supplies, I returned to Bancho Sushi to do this night's customer run, and using all of the new ingredients, I was able to 5-star the day and set a new record for Bancho Sushi profits, finally making enough money to repair it. But before we actually did this, we just went to get some sleep for the night. We wake up to an amazing blue hole sunrise on day 3, getting ready for our morning dive, before someone else has to come up with something to demand from us. Like, I get this is good for business, but I think Dave needs to catch a break at some point. This guy's name is Dr. Bacon, so we've gone from Ellie to Duff to Dr. Bacon. Okay. And he's an archaeologist currently researching an ancient race of sea people who used to be found in the blue hole. And after his explanation, we found out that these people are pretty much what you'd expect them to be. A sea-dwelling group of people who live deep in the blue hole depths, far deeper than the measly 40 meters we can go down to right now. Who's that little guy? Dr. Bacon is convinced that these mythical tales of the sea people are real. Yeah, maybe everyone thinks it's a myth for a reason, and we try saying no, but Cobra thinks that running around doing errands will bring attention to Bancho Sushi, so we have to do it anyway. Then again, I'm sure a subplot of a secret race of people living deep underneath the water has got to be important later on, so maybe this is a good thing. I mean, they got these sick ass belugas, so... Before our dive, we also downloaded an app on our phone that lets us upgrade all of our attributes. Oh yeah, did I mention we have a phone? Our phone has a calculator. Who is doing maths for Bancho Sushi profits? Okay, maybe the calculator is a welcome addition. With all that, we finally finished the prologue of the game and enter chapter 1, Traces of the Sea People. After just upgrading some equipment, the first thing I did was immediately go for my morning dive of the day. And if you don't have this video on as background noise by now, you'll notice that our new and improved diving suit allows us to navigate at 80 meters, which allows us to catch a variety of new and, more importantly, more valuable fish for Bancho Sushi. Near the end of our dive, we locate the Sea People artifact that Bacon asked us to find. And, hi? Yo, you the guy that ran a fade on this ship? Out of sight, out of mind. So we finish up our dive and get some more fish on the way back up. Not a bad haul for the day in my opinion. We got some more of these annoying ass little toe biters, so yeah. And after giving the artifact to Bacon, Cobra gives us some good news. Bancho Sushi has finally been repaired, so we go to check it out and damn, it's looking good. We make a few adjustments here and there too, but yeah. Also, can we take a second to appreciate the music in this game? Like, damn, this game was cooking on more than the sushi. Back to the game, we get introduced to Cookster too. Basically Dave the Diver Instagram, so we get to watch Bancho's cold ass flicks, and yes, I'm gonna like every single one. Well, don't worry, this actually does something for us, and we can basically gain a bigger following, which then allows us to bring our Cookster rank up, which then unlocks new stuff for us. Pretty important. After all of this, we go for our afternoon dive and not much happens here. We just collect a couple fish, you know, the usual. But when we get to Bancho Sushi, something does happen, and this important looking woman walks in before our shift. Her name is Yoshi. No, not that one. And she seems to know Bancho from somewhere in the past. Yoshi got attracted from all the good reviews, none of which include Dave, and from what we gather they used to work together at a hotel, but Bancho then tried serving whole roasted shark head to somebody, and ended up fired. She's convinced that Bancho hasn't changed and doesn't keep the customer in mind, while Bancho wants to prove that his exotic form of cuisine was misjudged back then. So, obviously it falls on us to go catch a shark for this meal. Anyway, Yoshi has something for us afterwards anyway, so I'm sure it will be worth our while. After this, the game also subtly hints that whilst Yoshi may be our first special customer, she definitely won't be the last, and it introduces us to a new mechanic too, researching. I mean, it ain't too complex, it's pretty much just a recipe unlock system, but what is cool are these bancho animations. Like, no wonder people love this guy's cooking. He's looking like Tony Stark. Before we open, we also enhance some of our meals. Basically, just take some ingredients to improve the dish's taste, stat, and cost. And like I know I've been glazing here, but he's making sushi and looks this clean. Okay, but after all this, we finally do our night, and obviously score another 5-star opening, making the ripe sum of 62 of what looks like dollars. We wake up the next day to this prime time display of UK weather, and Dr. Bacon just has to show up. He's made some kind of radar that picks up on sea people signatures, and since Cobra's pretty much sold us as a slave, we gotta help and see if it works. They're multiplying. Not much happens during our morning dive again. You know, we catch some fish, but more importantly we go all the way to where the sensor is pointing, just to find out that our knockoff Sheen grey diving suit doesn't let us go down far enough. Well, it was worth the shot. Still no sharks too. So we leave the blue hole and we finally got the stuff that we need for Duff to craft us a gun. This mainly being the scrap iron that we haven't picked up for like 10 dives, so he rings us up and gets to work. I would say this is as cold as Bancho's, but there is nothing cold about needing an extra arm because yours don't work. Fix up, man. But on the other hand, we finally have a gun that will definitely help out if we ever actually find the shark. Right after this, somebody new rolls up on their little dinghy. This guy is Sato, and he and his interesting cut basically introduced the Dave the Diver Pokedex. No, that's not a joke I'm making. You basically get a fish card after catching a fish. I'm not actually sure what it does for us apart from being a completionist hell, but it's there, you know, it's there. After all these distractions, we finally go for our afternoon dive and literally nothing special happened. I mean, shooting fish with a sniper I found was pretty fun, but just a normal dive. Here's what we got for the day. The same can be said for the Bancho sushi run, which we did after some more upgrading and Bancho animations, in which we made a new record, $84 whole. And I guess she's just going to be sitting here every night. Actually, something did kind of happen as we ranked up in Cookstuff for the first time. We're bronze now, and it gave us some neat recipes, which is nice. The next day we are immediately woken up by somebody as per quota, and this time it's Ellie again. Hey, you haven't quit diving, have you?
And she asks us to get some agar and red starfish on our next dive.
But no, it's okay. She's not mad that we just neglected her quest. She has more stuff for us to do. Finding some shells. From her perspective, you'd think that if we can't collect some little plants in the sea, she'd stop asking for our help, but each their own, I guess. After reluctantly accepting, we go for our morning dive, and since upgrading our stuff, we can dive a lot deeper, among other things. So that's what we do. These new depths allow us to find some new fish like this shark. Still not the shark we need though. But more importantly, they finally allow us to follow Dr. Bacon's tracker, which leads us to this blocked path. Right now, we have no means of unblocking the entrance, so Bacon just tells us to return to Cobra for the meantime. But right before leaving, Dave starts to hear some weird noises coming from somewhere, which means that either there's something more to this, or the government's putting something in the blue hole water. But after these voices, we do return, and Cobra immediately offers the idea of using a bomb. But Cobra's delivery of bomb parts was lost somewhere in the blue hole. And you know, this means he's just been ordering bombs. Unless he's got some kind of next minute delivery thing going with Amazon. But from the $84 we made last night, I'm assuming we are not balling like that. Last dive, we also finally finished one of Ellie's quests, and it turns out she just needed the stuff for some eco app. She puts us on the app too, and I'm just going to sum it up. You can do eco stuff for rewards. Boom, there, done. Here's what we actually got for the dive, and you might notice, where's all the fish that I said I got? But we got something far more valuable than anything I showed. This shark head. We can finally feed Yoshi. It's been a couple days. So we do the afternoon dive, and then immediately head to Bancho Sushi to cook up a storm. So we research and upgrade some food, set the menu, and start the night. So, you know, it's a normal night until Yoshi gets her shark head. And is this a normal reaction to food? I guess she liked it. Yeah, she's a massive fan. So that out of the way, she tells us why she's actually here. Right now, we might be able to cope with the amount of customers, but as our cookster rank increases and we get new mechanics, it might be too much for little old Dave. So she's here to help us get some employees. The American dream. But we can't just kidnap some workers overnight. That's the Chinese dream. So we gotta put out a hiring notice and wait for people to come to us. So that's what we do. And the day was going great until this happened. We got a 4.5 rating. This is the first time we haven't got a 5. Like, we could put it on the lack of employees, but what kind of excuse is that? I knew this couldn't stand, so I figured the only way to train myself up was to make some actual sushi. Well, not sushi, but seafood is seafood and sushi is seafood, so pretty much the same thing. Although, jokes aside, we shattered our previous profit record and got a whole $548. So all in all, not bad. The next day, we do our 2 dives and we somehow befriend a dolphin and save his friend. Bit of a random little sidetrack, but it was fun. We finally found all of Cobra's deliveries, and we get a little too overconfident again. Here's what we got, by the way. But the real fun part of the day comes when we finish up with our dives and the night begins. We go back to Bancho Sushi and someone has got back to us. Meet Kyoko. She's our first and won't be our last employee, and all for the low price of $0. What a steal. She's really throwing herself out there, huh? We can have 4 employees at Bancho Sushi at any one time, 2 helping to cook and 2 helping to serve. And obviously their efficiency is decided by these 4 stats. Cooking is how fast they can cook, serving is how fast they can serve, I'll explain procure later, and appeal isn't real. As we can see here, Kyoko has a very high serving stat in comparison to the others, so we'll place her in as a server, and besides, cooking isn't too much of an issue right now. But before starting the night, we spend some cash to train her up to level 3, and she unlocks the ability to serve drinks as well, which should be helpful. Look at her there, our first step to millions. So we start the night, and damn, look at her zooming around. Now Dave can finally give his fat ass a rest. You might notice we get a bit more money than we should for some of these dishes, and that's Kyoko getting tips, which I'm pretty sure ties into the appeal stat which nobody actually understands, which she has a lot of. I wonder why. We didn't actually make a massive amount of money for the night, but that's more due to having mid ingredients for the day, rather than Kyoko being bad, so not bad again, I guess. We wake up and with our newly made bombs, Bacon wants us to go down to the Sea People Monument. So that's what we do. We head over there, open it up and enter. This place turns out to be the Sea People Record Chamber, and Bacon asked us to 1. Pick up some artifacts around the place, and 2. Take a picture of this mural with the camera that he gave us. So, that done, we head back up to the surface, getting some fish on the way. And the moment we give Bacon what he needs, we are immediately met by this gang of climate activists called Sea Blue. They heard our little explosion in the sea, and their leader John Watson says anyone harming the sea will have to contend with them. I'm pretty confident we'll be okay. The moment they leave, Cobra tells us that Sea Blue used their climate activism as a cover for illegal activities, and that we're in the right. But are we really? We've been shooting fish, blowing fish up. We set off on this journey to get some random grab bag. Ah well, out of sight, out of mind. We don't really have much else to do for the day, so we just skip time tonight and go to Bancho Sushi. But we now have another VIP guest, Vincent, the gourmet. He's basically a TV show host, and he's heard great things about Bancho Sushi, so he had to come and try a meal. Bancho comes up with some sushi, with ingredients from the limestone caves, and this time we only have 2 days to procure the ingredients, so we gotta get on with it. Also, we went up another cook's rank. We upgrade Kyoko a bit more, and then we start the night, and oh my god, Bancho may be a good cook, but he is most certainly not a fast cook. Remember when I said that we don't really need any cooks right now? I was wrong. Yeah, all of this makes for the lowest rated night we've had so far. Although we still made some decent money. So we are definitely in need of some more employees. Kyoko's putting in the work though. Overnight, we actually get to see 2 of the sea people for the first time, at the record chamber that we just visited. They're speaking a language we don't understand, but I'm assuming it's something along the lines of why their mural now stinks of sushi. The girl orders this guy to go do something. Right before the giant squid makes a cameo appearance and straight up just kidnaps her. Would not want to be you. On our first dive of the next day, not much happened. We have a bit of a close run-in with this massive shark, but nothing much. However, in the afternoon, we meet our dolphin pal again, and he wants to show us something. I wonder what it... and we gotta save this girl again. She's got caught by some random boat. I wonder who it could be. So we have to cut her free. Relatively easy, so we're good for now. Maybe Dave is a good person. And the dolphin duo both reward us handsomely for our help with a large gold bar. I don't know how they got this, or where they kept it, but who am I to complain? That little sidetrack taken care of. We go and actually make the most of our dive, get some stuff, and just return back up for night time. We go to Bancho Sushi to go do our run. I'm watching this back now. I am just wondering why my dumbass didn't go put out more hiring notices when I realised that I do not cook fast enough. I think it's because I wanted to save up for the most expensive ad, but I don't know man, beggars can't be choosers. Yeah, so you can imagine how our rating for the day went. But we actually did make a new profit record again, which is something, not gonna lie. When we wake up the next day, we go straight to Bancho Sushi in the morning and put out an internet ad for employees. So this should get back to us tomorrow. But no wasting time, today's the day that we need to serve Vincent. We've already got all the ingredients we need over the last couple dives, so we just skipped our 2 for the day and went straight to night. And no time to waste, he's already here. So we start the show and Bancho gets to cooking. Well, this is a little ominous. He hates on it at first, but the moment he tries it, well, I'll just show you. Leave it to Bancho to cook. I mean that in both ways. However, despite loving it, Vincent only gives the restaurant 80, I'm assuming out of 100, points because although Bancho cooked up a storm, we only serve green tea. Yeah, green tea. So he does us a favour and gives us a fridge so we can now serve cold beers too. Vincent's a real one. But with all that done, Yui does the outro for the show and they leave, leaving the night to us. So we start and we get to put our beer pouring skills to the test, which are a bit harder than the green teas, but Kyoko can handle them anyway, so it's all good. Although our cooking speed is still trash right now, we shatter our previous profit record and we likely would have made more, but my dumbass struck again, and I didn't realise that we ran out of food, and we are now serving these $1 dishes. Yeah. We have another encounter with our dolphin friends the next day, this time again with the pirates that are trying to catch them. You think they'd give up after all of this, but no, they had other plans and pulled up with guns. I mean, self-defense is self-defense, so I'm sure we can legally shoot them all to near death. I mean, after all, they attacked us, so... yeah. Our little dolphin buddies are super happy, and after nearly murdering their aggressors, I think they should be fine for the foreseeable future. And they give us this mysterious, rusty dolphin necklace that we'll have to check out when we get back to the surface. But first, it's time to deal with something that I've been neglecting for a while. Finding Duff's anime figure. I can explain. A bit of time ago, Bacon asked us to contact Duff to get him to create some sort of headlamp so we can go deeper or something, but I didn't even know. And we need Duff to make it because Bacon's delivery didn't come in. I think I might know something about that. But the issue is, Duff's delivery of a Leas-chan figurine also didn't come in. So you know what we gotta do? We find a destroyed delivery ship, and using a blowtorch Duff gave us, it was actually quite a fun little minigame. We make an entrance. You sense a dangerous creature's presence. Enter? Well, I mean, we have a track record for killing sea life, so we just walked right in. After all, we gotta get the figurine. He leads you to some closed off blue hole cranny, which is absolutely littered with ominous oxygen refills and a weapon capsule, which we get a sniper and a katana from. We swim further in, and it's a giant squid. He's sleeping. I'm sure we can just sneak in, and no, he woke up. We ain't getting Duff's figure without fight. This was our first boss fight of the game, with many more to come. Obviously it was pretty easy, you can't expect anything else than the first, but the attacks were cool, and they felt fair. Easy like I said, but fair, which gives me high hopes for the harder fights later in the game, as I half expected a fight that doesn't actually fit the game's gameplay style, but this was not the case. I'm just going to put the fight here so you can see it. Skip forward like a minute and a half if you're not feeling it. So, with the giant squid down, we see these two sea people again. The soldier looking guy has come to save that girl. Yeah, a little late, but okay. And more importantly, we are able to get Duff's Leah's Chan, and a little piece of the squid for Bancho to make some good food with. Nice. When we finish up, we get immediately sent back up to the surface and, oh my god, look at this degenerate.
I know what kind of man you are.
At least he upheld his side and gave us the headlamp we needed. But that now taken care of, we call Bancho to tell him about the giant squid we killed. And he thinks that because of the stench, we can't serve it to the regular public. So we have to have a private night. I'm not complaining. We can finally catch a break after days of work. Look, everyone's here. Well, apart from Duff, but he probably can't even stand up, so I'll give him a pass. We talk to everyone here, they're all loving the meal, and this new restaurant beginning, before we finally sit down and have some ourselves, right next to Bancho. Ending chapter 1. Okay, we were having a moment, man. Thanks you guys for watching, I really appreciate it. I'll probably finish up Dave the Diver in the next couple vids, and then see where it takes me. I'll try to do monthly at least. Make sure to like and sub if you enjoyed the vid, and I'll see you guys in the next one.